My name is David Thomas Smith. I retired out as a Navy career counselor, Master Chief, submarine qualified. You were assigned, and during that time frame, since I was in the advanced electronics field, the Navy had enlisted a large number of people in that field, more than they had class seats for. So what they did, they took us and they sent us over to the different submarines, kind of like a holding action. And I guess in reality, they probably raised the complement maybe 15-20% to accommodate the extra bodies. And that was how I went to the bang. So I was only on the bang from 63 to 64. And I really wasn't there long enough, even for most of the people here, to remember me. But what I do remember is when I first reported aboard the bang, got my sea bag on my shoulder, got my orders in my hand, and I give them to the topside watch, and he says, "Oh, okay, Smith, hold on a minute." He says, "I'll call down and get the chief steward up here for you." I said, "What are you calling the steward for?" He says, "Well, you're either a cook or a steward, aren't you?" I says, "No." I says, "I'm your fire controlman." He says, "What?" I says, "Yeah, I'm your fire controller." He says, "Well, I'll be damned. What's this Navy coming to?" I remember when you folks couldn't be nothing but cooks and stewards. So I said, how times have changed. And so that was my initial introduction to the bang. It was a little bit difficult, you could say, because, again, back then, when we went on Liberty in the evening, most of the white guys could go over into New London, to Groton, go into the bars, drink, and do whatever they wanted to do. A couple of times I went to go in with them, and they said, "Hey, we don't serve your kind." So I was refused service. So then I had to go over into the black section of town in order to get a drink, even to get a haircut. I could not get a haircut on ship because they didn't have any black barbers that knew how to cut black hair back then. So those are some of the issues that we had. But I must admit, the guy that became my best friend, once they were drinking in a bar and I went to go in, and again I was told I couldn't come in, and I says, "Any other submarine sailors in there?" And he says, "Yeah." I says, and I saw my buddy Bob, and I yelled to Bob, and he says, "Come on in." I says, "Can't." He says, "They won't let me in." So he says, "Tell you what, if they won't let you in, none of us are going to stay." And that was where I got my first true support. Every submarine sailors in the joint got up and walked out. And after that, we went back the second time. Then the bartender says, "Okay, you guys, you can come in, but we won't let the others in." So it was crazy, it was crazy. But that was what life life back then was not very enjoyable for a black man in submarine service or in the Navy in general. I was what they call fire control technician. My job was to take care of the fire control system, which consisted of a analog computer that was used to compute the target angle, so that when we launched the torpedo, it would follow that and hit the ship. That was my primary responsibility. Also, at that time, everyone on board submarine was required to do what they call qualify, and that meant that you went through the ship, and every system on board that ship you had to learn pretty much inside and out, and you pretty much had to be able to one-line diagram the whole system. Reason being is that if you got caught in a compartment and there was an emergency, you needed to know what to do. Otherwise, not only did you lose your life, but the ones that were with you would probably lose theirs also. So it was pretty strenuous. Yeah, there were some people that gave me a tough time, but again, I endured it. That was pretty much what I did. Took care of the fire control system, get qualified, and after